Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this day, and bless this committee and administration today, and have them make good, positive decisions for this day. In Jesus Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Call the roll.
Chuck Hoskin Jr.
Here.
David Waltonstick. Bill England.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Joe Bird.
On him.
Juliet Coates. Jody Fishenhop. Meredith Rayleigh. Here. Janelle Fulbright. Present. Don Garvin. Frankie Hargis.
Present.
Tina Gloria George. Present. Lee Keener. Dick Lay.
Here.
Curtis Snell. David Thornton. Kara Callan Watts. We do have a quorum.
Entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion so made.
Second.
By Council Thornton, Council Hargis, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right. Madam Speaker had a motion for me, but Council Hargis, Madam Speaker,
Yes.
you have a motion for me.
Yes, I would like to remove items under new business 1 through 5 up to the front of the agenda because that involves the nominations that we have for today.
There's a motion, and a second. Second by Council Hargis. All right, this is to move 1 through 5s up to our very next order of business. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, very good. Yeah, so we'll now move to, yes,
Mr.
Council.
Chairman, you moved so quickly on the minutes that I had a request to amend those minutes. They should have noted on there that I had filed a point of order and a protest the motion to change Highway 20 to Old Highway 20.
Well, Councilor, we can note that in these minutes that you take issue with the minutes and would have those added.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. All right. We are on to new business item number 1. Madam Speaker, would you take that?
Yes, this is a resolution confirming the nomination of Lynn Burris as a board member of the Cherokee Nation Administrative Appeals Board. I will put that in the form of a motion, and Judge Burris is here today to answer questions.
Second. Very good. We have a second by Councilor Fitzgerald. Judge Burris?
I was just going to introduce Judge Burris. My name is Courtney Roark Thompson. I'm the new Director of Government Relations for the Nation and for CMB. Citizen of the Cherokee Nation, I'm really honored to be here. It's my 3rd week on the job, and Chief is really proud to nominate Judge Burris for the Appeals Board. And you have his resume, and he will answer any questions that you may have.
Courtney, tell us where your family's from.
Yes. So I originally grew up in Kingfisher, Oklahoma. My parents have separated. My father and my grandmother from Bonita, Oklahoma. So I kind of grew up on both sides of the state and have spent the last 4 years in D.C.
That's what he wanted to hear was
That's
the
all I
meeting.
Thank you.
Not everybody can be from later.
It's hard.
And we claim her from Cherokee County now.
Thank you. That's right. Household resident.
Judge, thank you for being
Yes.
here. Do you have anything to share with us before we go on to any questions?
Anything to what?
Do you have anything to share with us?
No,
before we ask
I just brought all my instructions and duties on the Administrative Appeal Board. That's, as far as that goes, that's all I can say. Well, of course, on the bench, if I give you a brief history or anything, I don't know what you have in front of you. 22 years on the bench here in Cherokee County. I spent 12 years at the BIA at Miami agency with CFR Court. I imagine times when one here knows what CFR stands for. Court of Federal Regs. I've already heard a couple of cases involving appeals here with the employee appeals, and so that's all I have to say. I don't know what questions you may ask.
Thank you. Any questions for His Honor, Madam Speaker?
Just comment. I started out practicing, I believe, in front of Judge Burris. And actually, after you left the CFR, I applied for it and received the appointment, but then took the council position. So I am familiar with it. I highly recommend him. He was a good judge when he was on the bench. He spent his life on the bench. He's actually hearing cases for us now on a contract basis, I believe, on the Administrative Appeals Board. And I just can't say enough good things about him. He'll be a good addition to our board.
I agree. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Councilor Calhoun.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize, but maybe Courtney can give us more background. Mr. Burris, I thought you had been in front of us. Is there another Burris?
His twin.
Okay, his twin.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a year or two, I guess a little over a year ago.
Okay. And what is your, I don't know, you should answer or somebody else, but what is your brother, what is he doing at this point for us? I was trying to.
He's on the hearing board too, as well.
Okay, how is that not a conflict of interest? No offense to you, Mr. Burris, but you're not only a brother, but a twin brother on the same appeals board, and I would think that would be problematic.
Counselor,
They said we went to 2 different law schools, and we took 2 different paths, and we got out of law school.
A conflict of interest arises when an individual in a party or an attorney have a relationship that may arise to the appearance of a conflict. It's on an individual basis. The fact that 2 brothers serve on the same board or serve in a governmental capacity in and of itself is not a conflict of interest.
Mr. Chairman, may I continue?
Certainly, Councilor.
Mr. Burris, I had come in prepared because I was thinking we were reappointing you. I had not went to Legistar to verify the names. I thought it was your brother was you continuing on. So I still have responsibility for my vote, regardless of what any attorney in the room considers. At this point, I won't be able to support you, only because I think that begs to what our employees who that process is supposed to protect would want to consider at the time. And I know I wouldn't want my brother serving with me on a board that's supposed to be balanced and such, and know that outside folks would consider it. I'm not saying you would, but the appearance is what I would be worried about, so I can't support it because we've already I voted for your brother, I recall. So, but I don't see this as working out. So thank you for your time today, and I appreciate you being here. I'm sure you'll go and get the appointment because they've got the votes. But thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor. Ms. Barker Harold, did you have something to add on the
I did,
conflict issue?
Mr. Chair, one thing that Judge Burris did say that years ago, he served on the Judicial Appeals Tribunal, so he's very familiar with employee appeals and has that experience with the tribe. And then I think the state said he can't do that anymore, to
Yes.
fill out. But he did a great job. He has a lot of history and background, and I will echo what Tom said. I appeared before him, and he actually trained me a little bit, being an attorney and how to introduce evidence when I was first starting. So just wanted to let
Thanks,
you know
everyone.
about his judicial appeals experience.
Thank you, Ms. Barker Harold. Councilor Fulbright.
Yes, thank you. I want to say that I'm going to be supporting him 100%. Don't know him personally, but I do know his older sister in my church for 25 years, Pauline Stavely, and they are just an all-around outstanding family, and I think he'll be a great addition. And you have my vote.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments for the nominee? Well, Mr. Burris, the appearance that I get when I see 2 Burris brothers on this important board is that we've got 2 sharp brothers who are public servants. And that's wonderful. And if this was a position we were hiring for and we looked at your resume, we'd want to get you because of your experience. I appreciate your willingness to serve. So I certainly support it. Any further questions for the nominee? Mr. King.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You got a twin brother, and I too was confused, and I apologize for that. That was he on the UKD Supreme Court? Or that was you.
That's me.
Okay, I just want to make sure about that. You served, failed to mention that, 10 years you were on?
No, I was 12 years up at BIA, Bureau of Indian Affairs, Miami Agency. I've been with on the 2 events for 4 years. maybe go on 5.
Oh, you're still on that?
Yeah, and my reply, of course, if I get this appointment, I'll immediately resign. Approved, whatever you want to call it. But yes, I've been able to do. I was there, I left the bench in Miami, and that's when I went on. Oh, exactly.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Anything further for Ms. Burris, Judge Burris? All right, we'll move to vote. This is a resolution. All those in favor say, I'm sorry, Councilor Fishing Hawk, you had your hand up. I apologize.
Oh, well, I was going to ask, you kind of answered it. I was going to ask why did he have to step off of another, I was just going to ask why you had to step off the bench over there to take a board appointment here.
I didn't have to. Over here? Oh, I don't know. I think it'd probably be proper step off over there. Of course, I can discuss it with the.
I was just asking why, because I couldn't figure out why you had to.
The Constitution provides that if any appointed or elected official that holds any other office of honor or profit within the Indian tribe can serve on that as long as it is approved by the tribal council. That's under the Constitution. Judge Burris would not necessarily have to resign from the position with his position with the Katuah band, but he has shown that if he does receive this appointment, that he will do so voluntarily.
Very good. Okay. All right, we'll now proceed to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Roll call.
Tyler Jordan,
Yes.
Lee Keener,
No.
Dick Wade,
Yes.
Curtis Snell,
Yes.
David Thornton,
No.
David Walkingstick,
Yes.
Kara Cowan Watt,
No.
Bill Anglin,
No.
Jack Baker,
Yes.
Joe Bird,
Yes.
Julia Coates,
No.
Point of clarification,
That's next week.
and I hate to bring this up again, but I think we have to be seen plus hearing.
Point of order, it looks
Let's,
like it's on our side that the webcam has not been
Well,
started.
well,
There are difficulties in trying to get there, but it's not pulling me up. So
Councilor
I-
Coates, just suspend for a moment. We're going to continue with this vote, and we're going to take up the matter of whether her vote counts when we're done, mindful that there's no visual contact. So if you would proceed.
Jody Fishinghawk,
Yes.
Meredith Fraley,
No.
Janelle Fulbright,
Yes.
Don Garvin,
Yes.
Frankie Hargis,
Yes.
Chuck Hoskin Jr.
Yes.
And
All right, now with respect to the point of order, there is no visual contact, and I do want to figure out what this problem is, because counselors ought to be able to participate, remotely as the rules provide, but the rules provide that there be visual contact. So we need to figure out what this problem is. I don't see how we can count Ms. Coates' vote. We will note, as we did last time, that she orally indicated a no vote, but our rules are what they are. We either need to look at adjusting the rules, or we need to make sure our technology cooperates, but it's not cooperating right now for some
Mr.
reason.
Chairman?
So we'll look into that. Yes, Councilman.
Have we asked our tech right next to you what the issue is?
Let me do that now, Councilor. Do you know what the issue is?
Not yet, I'm sending this email.
Councilor, he doesn't know yet. All right. So we'll start without Ms. Coates' vote for the official record. What's the tally?
11 yes and 5 no.
Very good. All right, now we move on to.
Mr. Chairman, can we at least note her vote?
We have. We noted that for the minutes as we did last time.
Okay.
So last time she had visual contact and no audio contact, and she gave a thumbs up or down, I can't recall, and we made sure the minutes reflected that.
Mr. Chairman, point of clarification,
Yes,
please. It was 11 yes, 5 no, and 1 noted. Is that correct?
Well, it was 11 yes, 5 no, and then the minutes will reflect that Councilor Coates couldn't make visual contact, but she indicated it was a no vote. I want the minutes to reflect that. I've got the rules, and I've got to follow them, and we can change the rules.
Oh, I was just seeing what the vote was.
Or we can make sure our technology works, which we do need to do. All right. Madam Speaker, would you take, let me preface this. Item number 2 is editorial board member of the Cherokee Phoenix. This is a council pick. There were 2 candidates who have arisen through an expression of interest through counselors. One is, and I think we have both resumes in front of us. One is Mr. Gerald Wofford. He's the incumbent in that seat. The other is Mr. Austin. As we've done with previous council picks, we'll proceed to take a motion, Madam Speaker.
I would like to offer in the name of Curtis Keith Austin in this resolution. This would be a resolution confirming the nomination of Curtis Keith Austin as an editorial board member of the Cherokee Phoenix. Second.
Second by Councilor Fishing. All right. Councilors, you have the resume. Just a moment, Councilor. You have the resume in front of you. Mr. Austin is here. Mr. Austin, would you come forward?
Good afternoon.
Would you please, if you would, share some words with us, and then we'll move on to questions.
Certainly. I am very active in the Cherokee community. I have been in business for 30 years. Well, not in business, but I've been in the business world for 30 years. I'm a small business owner for the last 14 years, and I employ about 20 people. What else would you like to know this morning?
Appreciate your interest from a business perspective in serving on the Phoenix. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Austin? Councilor Connell.
What is your background and experience in journalism?
My only background in journalism is that of an avid reader. As I understand the qualifications for the Cherokee Phoenix board is that there's to be 5 board members, 3 of which are to be from the field of journalism, and 2 of which can be from the field of business. So that's my qualifications come from business, not from journalism.
Is your mother Ollie Starr?
She is.
Okay. After people are done questioning, I'd like to move to go into executive session. I have some stuff to present to the council that we need to consider an executive session after folks have had a chance to talk.
The executive session will involve a matter embraced by the Constitution for executive session.
It'll involve a police report, a sheriff's report, yes.
Yeah, and it may be absolutely irrelevant to the question before us, and you may not get it in that way, even assuming you get it in executive session, but we'll take that as it comes. Any further questions for Mr. Keener?
My question was the same on journalism. Thank you.
Very good. All right. Yeah, Mr. Angel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You talked about your journalism experience. I'm sitting here looking at Mr. Walker too. And did you have, and I just want to make sure that you're a journalism, you're a reader. Did you have an article in the New Doll paper that said that the Cherokee council people should stop fighting? Was that your article?
I have submitted editorials to that effect, yes.
Okay. I have, if that was your article, then I have a question for you. Is in there you said that there was public debate and hearings held, and I'd just like to know, and there was compromise made. I'd like to know, can you tell us where these hearings were held in the Cherokee Nation, and what came out of the hearings? Was it reported, or was this just something that you just throw out there?
No, I've been to these meetings. I've been to the Rules Committee meetings throughout the last year, and have the ones that I have not been at, I've been able to watch online. Very grateful that we have that tool, and that's my observation.
How many hearings do you think we had on that final map that was passed?
Oh, I have no idea. I wouldn't hazard a guess.
Well, your article says there were several hearings.
Okay. And that's my impression, that we had several hearings throughout the Rules Committee, throughout the process of creating the legislation.
So in your article, which I have actually here, do you believe nobody should stand up for the Cherokee people?
I don't believe that's what I said.
Well, you're asking everybody to stop fighting.
I don't believe I said that we shouldn't fight for what we want. I think what I said was that the legislative process was where that fight should take place.
With another picture here, is this you sitting here at this event?
It is.
That's all.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further questions? Mr. Baker?
It's a point of order. Do we need a motion for Mr. Walford also to sign?
No, we don't. We have, and I appreciate that he's here. The practice of this committee, and we can go back to, I think it was February 7th, 2007, because I researched it the last time we had a council pick on Councilor Cowan Watts' motion. When we had a batch of candidates, we took them one at a time. And on the advice of Mr. Hembry, who was our attorney at the time, if a majority vote is achieved on that first nomination, then the position is filled. So we're going to stick with the practice established by Councilor Cowan Watts, former Rules Committee Chair Fraley, and is advised by Mr. Hembry. Anything further, Mr. Fraley?
No, thank you.
Anything further for the nominee? Well, Mr. Austin, thank you for your willingness to serve the Cherokee people. You obviously have an interest in Cherokee government because you come to these meetings. I think the Phoenix in any publication would be good to get the perspective of a small business person, of a reader, an avid reader of news. So I think you'll bring something good to the publication. Ms. Collins.
I make a motion, we go into executive session,
On what basis?
that I need to discuss something that involves his mother.
Does it?
I don't know how else to.
Then absolutely not. His mother needs to be discussed in executive session?
I don't
Are there
know
any
how you
other
can
family
remain
members we could
impartial
discuss?
When his mother and his aunt have both been involved in trespassing on my property.
Point of order, this has to do with Mr. Austin. It doesn't have to do with his family. A lot of people may not have liked my parents. A lot of people may not like me. That's not sufficient. If we don't need to know who he comes from, we need to judge him based on his resume that's in front of us and what he's told us today.
Well, we know that he is the son of Ollie Starr, and I happen to know that he's proud of that, and he's proud of his mom. There's nothing wrong with that. I suspect the council from Rogers County is getting ready to bring out police reports, is what she says. What that has to do with Mr. Austin's qualifications to serve on the editorial board, I don't know. It probably has a lot to do with politics. It would make a wonderful Facebook post, but it's not going to make a wonderful use of our time in this committee. So, Madam Speaker, if your point is that that executive session is out of order, then I agree with it. I don't know that she got a second, and if she gets one, second by, well, Councilor Cowan Watts, I don't think got a second for her motion. Were you seconding Councilor Cowan Watts' motion? Okay,
Constitutionally, we cannot go into executive session based on the information you've just given us.
we don't even need to ask our attorneys, but we will. Ms. Barker Harold, is there a basis to, no, you may not. Is there a basis to go into executive session? You'll get a chance to speak, Counselor, but let's hear from our attorney.
Councilor Cowan Watts, what was the basis that you said?
The Free Press Act speaks to impartiality on behalf of the editorial board, and I am greatly concerned that given the ongoing actions by close family members of Mr. Austin, he would not be able to remain impartial. Mothers are mothers. We love our mothers. That's just the nature of the whole thing.
According to the Constitution, that doesn't meet one of the three constitutional provisions that goes into executive session.
All right, very good. I'm satisfied. And Councilor Cowan Watts, you had something further to say. Go ahead. Anything further?
No, just railroading on through when we have Gerald Wofford here.
That's out of order too.
It is out of order. We're following the exact procedure. We're following the exact procedure that you pursued when a nominee for the council was before you. I can show you the minutes. I can show you the video. It might be inconvenient for you at this moment, but it happened. And we're going to follow that procedure here. And not only because you followed it, because it happens to be the correct procedure. And it's not just me saying that. It's the Attorney General of the Cherokee Nation when he was our attorney. So we're not going to belabor this further. If you have anything relevant to ask of the nominee, that doesn't involve his mother in police reports. Please proceed.
Have you participated in any political campaigns involving the Cherokee Nation?
I certainly supported my mother's campaign, and I worked to support Deputy Chief Curtington and Chief Baker at the time of the last election.
Have you read the Free Press Act?
I have.
Do you realize that that requires that you have impartiality and stay out of elections?
From the point that I'm sworn in for, yes, ma'am, I do realize that.
Okay, do you have any plans to run for council?
I have no plans at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Counselor. All right, this is a resolution. Let's go roll call and dispense with the rules.
May I sit?
Certainly. I'm sorry, hold on. Councilor Fisher, did you have?
I want to apologize to you because if somebody would have brought my mother into here, I would have been all over them.
Thank you.
I hate that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Councilor Lane.
We should not, this body or any politician should never attack somebody's family in a game of politics. I'm terribly upset from what I've heard here today. That's all I've got to say. That's all I've ever said.
All right, we'll proceed to the roll call.
Jody Fishinghawk?
Yes.
Meredith Rayleigh? No. Janelle Fulbright?
Yes.
Don Garvin?
No.
Frankie Hargis?
Yes.
Chuck Hoskin Jr.?
Yes.
Hannah Gloria Jordan?
Yes.
Lee Keener?
No.
Dick Lay?
Yes.
Curtis Snell?
Yes.
David Thornton?
Yes.
David Walkingstick?
Yes.
Kara Cowan Watts?
No.
Bill England?
No.
Jack Baker?
No.
Joe Byrd?
Abstain.
Julia Coates?
No.
We'll record for the minutes her opposition, but we still don't have visual contact. But she's not recorded.
We have 9 yes and 6 no.
Mr. Austin, pending your approval of full council, congratulations. Thank you. Next item is item number 3.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Council.
We have Gerald Wofford here, who served a long time on the editorial board and is still an editorial board member. We should have him say a few words and thank him for his service, should we not?
You are correct. We should agree. Mr. Wofford, we do thank you for your service. Anything you'd like to share with us?
First of all, just say to everyone, I thank you. It's always an honor to serve the Cherokee tribe. When all the tribes in Oklahoma back in the early 70s began to get self-governance and be able to represent and elect their own leaders. My mom was one of the first that ran for the Mays County District. My father's Cherokee National Treasure artist from Pryor, Oklahoma. And it's just always an honor to serve the Cherokees in any capacity. And my service doesn't just end today. And I know there will be future things as well. So I know y'all see y'all down the road and shake hands with everybody. And hope everyone does fine and that your families are all well. And I appreciate the support and all the service I've been able to do at this time. So, well done.
Thank you, Mr. Wofford. All right, item number 3. Councilor Fishinghawk, did you take that?
This is a resolution confirming the nomination of Roy J. Hamilton. Is Roy here? Is Roy in the house?
Yeah.
This would be for the Cherokee Nation Community Association Corporation?
Yes, and I am very proud.
All right, we have
Happy, a very knowledgeable person, and I would like to nominate him for the Cherokee Nation Community Association.
motion. We have a second by Councilor Waterstick. Before we get to questions, do you have any introductory remarks?
I think everyone knows me. I've spent many years in community service and volunteering throughout the nation, and I'm happy that the chief has asked me to do this. So appreciate you considering me. Any questions for that?
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. We'll go into questions now. Do we have any questions for the nominee? Councilor Kamlotz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know Courtney may need to answer this. Who do we have at this point on the community board?
I don't know. That's my quickest answer.
I know Mr. Ron Falls is on the board. I think Patsy Edgar, I believe, is on the board. Though I'm not certain of these. And Deborah Scott. Ms. Coates may know the answer to this better than I think she's on the board as a either as an advisory, and there's another advisory, but I can't remember who that other person is. I haven't met them. Was it Jack? I'm sorry, Jack.
Mr. Jack, Mr. Chairman, I need to know who's on the board at this point. So do you know who else? Is it Patsy, Deborah, Ron Falls?
Those are the only ones that I know.
Bill Ando?
And Deborah, well.
Bill Ando?
And Dr. Morton?
I think Bill Ando is taking this.
Is it?
Okay, and who did you say it was? Just to make sure all minds are clear. So, boy, you're just in the middle of this. So is the intention of the administration to outnumber the at-large constituents with staff or contractors on the board?
Again, I'm going to call point of order. That's an inappropriate question to be asked.
Was that question directed to Mr. Hamilton?
No, it wasn't. No.
I'd be happy to answer the question.
I'm trying to get Courtney, the government relations person, because I don't think that's the AG's role.
Oh,
So
I
I
got
was
one.
trying
No,
to.
I'll let the administration decide who speaks for them. When the question is the integrity of the administration and whether they're trying to take over this board by, quote, outnumbering the at-large constituent. Mr. Hembry, can you respond?
I can rephrase the question. Where are we going with this then? Because I thought the original intent was for community members to be on it. So I'm
Mr.
trying to-
Hembry, whichever question she's presenting, would you respond to it, sir?
The intent of the administration is to put forward to this committee fine, good, caring Cherokees to serve on a board who are willing to serve on this board or any other. Mr. Hamilton meets every one of those definitions. We are proud to make sure that he is our nominee, and it doesn't have anything to do with outnumbering or or contracting or anything like that. He's a good Cherokee willing to serve.
Thank you, Ms. Trinity. Any further questions,
Can you
Mr.
help me understand
Councilor
your
Covens?
role on the contracting, what your contract's based on? Because I understood it is serving the at-large population.
My contract is for presentations I do, including the Cherokee History and Humanities course and cultural presentations, including family history.
So you're serving that population?
I serve that population and all population. I serve the entire population.
Okay. Because coming in today, and I meant to call you and I didn't, I let the week get by with our water stuff. So I meant to call you because I was concerned about the conflict of interest, which has been the last 2 or 3 nominees for me as well. It's not that, I've always enjoyed your work, Roy, and it's not that. It's just the way this is going, I struggle with, is that going to serve the population it's supposed to be serving? So I hope there's other questions that are asked.
I would like to say, I think I serve all Cherokees when I go out to these communities. And like I tell them, when I come there, I didn't leave my Cherokee here in Oklahoma or in the 14 counties. My Cherokee came with me, just like their Cherokee went with them. So I feel like they're just a bunch of part of me as my family are here. And I've made so many new acquaintances, met new relatives and new friends out there that I don't really see a difference in Cherokee here and Cherokee there. Personally, I think separating Cherokee is separating Cherokee, and I just don't like that. That's just my point of view.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Fulbright.
Thank you. I want to say, many years ago, probably 12, 15 years ago, Roy came down to Sallisaw faithfully every week for several weeks. I attended his history class. He did a great job, and I just think we're lucky to have him. He's a real treasure himself. So you do an outstanding job, and he'll be getting my vote. I have personal experience with him. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Thornton.
Yes, Roy, are you a Cherokee community member? within the Cherokee Nation?
I live in Adair County. Walhalla is my community.
Well, then you are.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever assisted anyone within your community in anything?
Somewhat. And I've worked a great deal with other communities. I'm part of the Kenwood community who established the Squirrel Ridge Ceremonial Ground. And for the last 3 years and 4 years, I've worked through grant programs to establish the grounds there to where we hope to do more outreach and work, cultural work. So we've managed to build our facilities there, and within a year or so, we think we'll be able to host retreats. Hopefully, some of the at-large will be able to come, and we can host them, and their only expense will be getting there, and they can stay and have the cultural experience that we can, I think, uniquely offer. And while I've helped local people find the assets they need, resources through the Cherokee Nation, through Mrs. Fishing Hawk many times. And so I don't think I'm just active in my particular community. I sort of branched out at some point.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your support.
Thank you, Councilman Thornton. Councilor Baker.
Yes. A few months ago at the board meeting for this organization, there was a discussion that we would add more at-large members on this board because this board does concern the large communities. And I think that that's the direction that we need to go. And I'm aware of Mr. Hamilton's long service, but I'm going to have to oppose it because he's not one of the at-large community members. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Fishing Hawk.
I'm just going to attest to Roy calls me numerous times. We finally got the little old lady help that lived over there by you, and you've been a great asset out there with helping with everybody that needs help, Roy. And when I happened to run into you one day out of state, and me and you managed to meet, and next thing I know, he was sitting there telling the waiter about the Cherokee Nation. So he's a heck of an advocate at large, and I'm very proud that you're from Adair County.
Thank you, Councilor Fishing Hawk. Councilor Burton.
Yes. Roy, we commend you for even taking on this task. I like your way of thinking. It doesn't matter what district you're in. You know, this at-large, we didn't even know what at-large was in '87. We just served everybody. I mean, whether you're in rural Kenwood or California, you just took care of all the people. We spend so much bureaucracy and policy arguing about what district you're in or getting on coming down. There's a lot of people out there that need help, and you do a very good job of that. So I say you got my support.
Mr. Hamilton, you were at my community meeting in South Coffeyville, December or November of last year, and as you learned, there were a lot of at-large folks coming there across the Kansas state line, and I will tell you, if you are as good an ambassador on this association board as you were at that meeting, because folks came up to me and said, I met that guy, I felt like I know him all my life. These are at-large folks. You're going to be a great asset to this board, and you'll really be an asset to the at-large community, I think, because of the way you carry yourself. And I appreciate you. You have my support. Any further discussion? Madam Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair.
One moment, Councilor. We've got Madam Speaker up next.
Roy, I just want to take this opportunity and thank you and appreciate that you would take this position. I believe you have a lot to offer to this position.
Okay, Councilor Coates.
Yes, I have one question for Mr. Hamilton. It's my understanding that you are nominated because Ms. Mackey is going off the board. Is that correct?
As far as I know. That's my understanding.
I have trouble hearing. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Do you, and this may be a question because there's a government relations person there, this may not be for Mr. Hamilton, but is there a reason why Ms. Mackey is going off the board since we only confirmed her less than a year ago, I think?
Could I speak to that? You want her?
Councilor Coates, I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know.
Donnie is a friend of mine, and I would extend that. She needs to spend more time with her family and her son. And she with all of her other duties, she thought this was something that she could give up. And so administration thought this was something I might could do. So that's how it came about.
Is that responsive to your question, Councilor?
Yes, and we have a picture now, maybe. Yes, it does. And as a follow-up to that, then, Mr. Hamilton, Ms. Mackey is your direct supervisor, is that correct?
No, I don't believe so.
No?
I'm on contract, and I.
Oh, you're on a contract,
Yes.
okay. Okay, okay. You know, and everyone has talked about this, you do the work to make the presentations to organizations, and so you're pretty directly involved, and you are compensated by this contract for that work that you do. And the board that you're now being nominated to serve on is the one that oversees these kinds of matters. So essentially, I think you're being appointed to oversee yourself and to report to yourself, and I still continue to find this to be a highly irregular situation. I think it was irregular in the case with Ms. Mackey, but I went ahead with it. But even on a contract situation, I think that there's something about this that is just irregular to me, and that I have concerns about it. So, you know, I completely agree with Mr. Hobson when he, you know, how wonderful your presentation is. I know that it is. You know, I know that you used to be a teacher on the history course, and that you've gotten very good reviews on that and so forth. But this is a little bit different thing. I agree with everyone here that we really need to be putting at-large people on this board. While people are Cherokee, no matter who they are and where they are, there are distinct differences in the experiences of those who live outside the boundary and those who live in. And I think it's just important to have additional people who understand really from a first-hand and long-term way what those experiences are. So it's nothing personal here, but again, for the same reasons that have been expressed and those that I've stated, I can't agree with this nomination. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Walkingston.
Roy, it was a privilege being able to work with you at the Heritage Center a long time ago when I was shouting you guys. But Roy, when I was there, he had a lot of knowledge on Cherokee arts and genealogy, and you wrote a lot of grants for the National Museum there. And so Roy, I appreciate you taking this on, and I think you're going to be a great advocate for this. You've got my support.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Keener.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is for government relations. Okay, since Ms. Mackey is going off, and I guess nothing was going on that's within the district, so what's the makeup now of the group, and is there any plans to expand that to another at-large, say, candidate? So there's no net loss, but no net gain either way.
But what I have is that we have someone from Georgia and Texas, and then Oklahoma, and Oklahoma. And I don't know of any plans to expand. That doesn't mean there aren't any. It just means I don't know.
May I get a clarification on it, Mr. Chairman? What she just read?
Counsel, can you yield to Counselor?
Yeah, then I have another question.
So, and all those Oklahomans are pretty much Tahlequah, right? Cherokee County or Adair County?
Okay. Can I give you the location? Okay. So, Roy is Stillwell, Oklahoma, and then Georgia, Texas. When I cannot pronounce the Georgia town. Yes, thank you. Houston, Texas, Fulmer, Oklahoma, and Stillwell, Oklahoma.
Thank you.
That was my question. Two from Stillwell then. And maybe I guess I'd make the question directly for Mr. Baker, is that makeup would be unacceptable to you? Yes. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. All right. Hearing nothing further, let's proceed to a roll call.
Frankie Hargis,
Yes.
Chet Hoskin Jr.,
Yes.
Tana Glory Jordan.
Yes.
Lee Keener,
No.
Dick Lay,
Yes.
Curtis Snell,
Yes.
David Thornton,
Yes.
David Walkingstick,
Yes.
Kara Cowan Watts,
No.
Bill Anglin,
No.
Jack Baker,
No.
Joe Berg,
Yes.
Julia Coates,
No.
Same procedures last time.
Jody Fishinghawk,
Yes.
Meredith Fraley,
No.
Janelle Fulbright,
Yes.
Don Garvin.
No.
We have 10 yes and 6 no.
All right. Congratulations, Mr. Hamilton. Item number 4, Councilor Hargis, would you take this one?
This is a resolution confirming the nomination of Sean Shepherd as a member of the Board of Directors of Cherokee Nation Waste Management, LLC.
We have a motion, we have a second. We have a second from Mr. Shepherd.
Oh, second.
We have a second from Madam Speaker.
I'll introduce Mr. Shepherd for the nomination to Waste Management, and then I believe you have his resume if you have any questions.
Thank you. And Mr. Shepherd, do you have any introductory remarks do we have on this? All right, and this, we'll note that we now have visual and I think audio contact with Councilor Coates. Hopefully it'll stay that way and we worked out the problem. Mr. Shepherd, share a few words with us before we go into questions.
Okay, Mike, again, my name is Sean Shepherd from Tahlequah. All of my life, family from here, grandmother's from here. Small business owner here in Tahlequah. Graduated from the University of Arkansas with a landscape design degree. Have 1 degree landscaping in Tahlequah in a construction company. I've had help, through Cherokee Nation when I was in college to help with school. I've been a recipient of the Mortgage Assistant Program for housing, and now I'm just at a position in life where I would like to give back and do anything I can, because in my time of need, I have received assistance and helped me be the person that I am today.
Good. Any questions for Mr. Shepherd? Madam Speaker.
I know this young individual. He's out, he's got his business out on 51 Highway. I drive by it every day when I go home, and I would just love to have just a little bit of the work that he's got around his business. I'd sure love to have that in my yard. He also has some real pretty houses that he's building in, it's Pecan
Creek Estates.
Pecan Creek Estates, very, very nice addition. It's good to see young people be able to keep their businesses here where they've grown up. He's also got an awful good education there, over there in Arkansas.
That's right.
Okay. And I will be supporting him.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Any further questions, Councilor Collins?
Thank you. So could you tell me about how you understand your role and any vision you have for what you're going to do or expectations?
Well, with my experiences, when I came out of college, I had worked at Greenleaf Nursery, and then I came on a position with the Department of Agriculture. So I worked for the government. We was contracted out by the Environmental Protection Agency. So I have a lot of contacts in Oklahoma City with the Environmental Protection Agency and the Department of Agricultural, Food, and Forestry. And I just, with the business aspect and the knowledge from that, I've got a lot of resources and think can be valuable in this position.
And thank you for your time today and answering all my questions. Do you have any leanings one way or another about whether the landfill should stay open or not?
I think it's a good thing. I had done some research before, and that I think there was a contract possibly with Fayetteville or something where they was bringing over, and I don't have all the details. I just Googled it and looked up everything to become more aware of what was going on. I think with the EPA cracking down on everything, that's a big portion. It's just doing thing that's right and helping the environment, but yet we have waste to get rid of, and it's we're going to have to get rid of it. So anything we can do to lessen the impact on the environment and possibly have a win-win situation.
Okay, very good. And do you understand the liability you're assuming as a board member?
As far as
the history of, has that been explained to you by the first folks nominating you about?
I have not gone into that.
I would just
liabilities.
recommend that look and make sure that all of your board insurance, all that, those things are, I think it is.
Okay.
But I always just ask that anybody that assumes a role would understand fully all of, the history of, that we had to separate it out separately and such. Make sure that you're fully aware walking in.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Glad to support you today.
Good
Thank
deal.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Byrd.
Just a comment.
Yes, sir.
Most of that orientation would come if you were confirmed about
Okay,
liabilities
okay.
and so forth.
Okay.
If they don't do that before you're confirmed.
Okay, good deal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor. Madam Speaker.
Sean, that's why we have what is called errors and omissions insurance. I think you'll find that they have a pretty substantial policy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And there's a pretty good stable of attorneys over at the chief's place that can navigate those and give you advice on that, for sure. All right, we'll now proceed to a vote. Let's go to a voice vote for Mr. Shepherd. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oh, I apologize. Councilor Fulbright, I owe you an apology. You did have your hand up, and I skipped right over you. But we're gonna go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I am happy that you are here to, I don't know exactly how to put it into words, but to show that you're a product of the Cherokee Nation's programs. You used our scholarship money to get a good education. You come right out and say you use the mortgage assistance, which several of us, it's $15,000.
Right.
We wanted to raise it to 25 like they do across the river. But I'm just happy to see that we have a young person who utilized it, benefited from it, and now is in a good position to come back and serve to give to the community. That's a revolving circle that we're so proud to be a part of, and it shows that Cherokee Nation is in the right direction. And I'm just
I
proud of you.
appreciate that, and that, like I said, those came in time of need, and I wouldn't be standing here before you today if I didn't have that assistance at that time of need.
That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor, and I apologize again. We'll now proceed to the voice vote. Mr. Shepherd. Voice. Oh, I'm sorry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right. I almost forgot how to take a voice vote. It's been so long. Congratulations. Oh, and Mr. Byrd as a co-sponsor. All right. We're now back to the amended agenda reports, I believe. We have number
Well,
five.
we have-
Number 5. That's right. All right. Item number 5. Madam Speaker, will you take that one?
Yes, this is a resolution confirming the nomination of Patsy Ann Smith as a board member of the Cherokee Nation Foundation. Ms. Smith is available here today to answer questions. And I know Ms. Smith from prior activities that we've interacted together, and I think she'll be a good addition to this board.
Second.
Second by Councilor Byrd. Courtney.
Yeah, so I'll just introduce Patsy Ann. We talked outside, said I could call her Patsy. So she's here. We are proud to nominate her to the Cherokee Nation Foundation. And if you'd like to come up and get some questions.
I didn't realize you all were going to expect a speech out of me. But where I come from on this is my family were very proud to be Cherokee. As far as their allotment, I'm still living on the same land. My cabin's still on the same land that was back then. And I'm proud to have the opportunity to do something the other way. You all have given to us a long time, so now I'm proud to get the opportunity to possibly do for the Cherokee Nation.
Well, thank you. And I think Councilor Cotton wants recognize you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing today? Hi. Thank
Scared.
You. Oh, I'm not scared. So thank you for making time to be here today. I'm not personally familiar with you, so I had several questions.
Absolutely.
Have you had a chance to visit with the Cherokee Nation Foundation or see their website?
I have not. I have tried to get in a couple appointments with some of the committee members that are on there. Time conflict hasn't worked.
Okay. Well, I
I'm
enjoyed,
trying.
I enjoyed your resume, and thank you for the introduction. So I was curious, are you familiar with the mission of the foundation?
Yes, it's to preserve the history and for the language also. I'm going to admit that I'm going to be a little lax as far as the history, culture, history of our Cherokee.
Look, they deliver a considerable amount in scholarships as well as programming in order for the kids to become, or students to become college prep ready. So there's a considerable amount more work to it other than delivering of the cultural and language tools, which that also costs money as well. So are you prepared to do the fundraising that's involved?
It hasn't been explained to me how much. I'm pretty good at it, though.
Very good.
I'm a talker.
Very good.
I'm a twister, arm twister.
Arm twister, okay. Well, the makeup of the board has changed considerably from being a national board to very Cherokee County centric. So you're going to be competing with for the same dollars as what I'm afraid of with the other board members, but it sounds like you're up for the challenge. So I appreciate your candor today. It looks like you have the energy and the desire to want to serve, and they really need that because they deliver a considerable amount of programming, not just across the Cherokee Nation, but they also serve our at-large population doing stuff. So it'll be a lot of work. I'm looking forward to seeing what your results are in terms of fundraising and work that you'll take on. So.
Looking forward to the challenge. Now, the way I do understand this appointment's only till October that I'm filling in for someone that's already resigned. So y'all get to evaluate me again, whether I'm working that hard or not.
Very good. And I think just for, make sure we have it, who is the replacement? Okay.
It is through our system.
Okay, because Robin resigned before the position was, okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Byrd.
Ms. Smith. Thank you.
Is there another?
What's that? Did you have a question?
I just to make a comment. Yes, this lady here I support wholeheartedly. A hard worker and not a yes person to anybody. What you see is what you get. I see her sometimes at the gym. Comes in her cowboy boots, got straw and hay on it sometimes, and she's just no BS person. But I guarantee you she'll work, and it won't take her long to figure out how that foundation is run. So I support her 100%.
All right. We'll move now to a voice vote. I'll get right this time. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Mr. Keener. And we'll add Councilor Hargis, Councilor Walking Stick as sponsors.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. All right. Now, we are back. Are we not, Madam Speaker, to reports?
Yes.
And because we've got such a full agenda, stand on your written reports. We'll entertain necessary questions. So we'll go ahead and go in the order. Mr. Buell had to leave. There's a public safety issue that he had to tend to. I don't think anyone else is here from the Marshal Service, so we can submit questions to him offline. Councilor Camerlons.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to note that the Claremore Police, the Claremore Indian Health Service Hospital reports were not included, so could you work with him to make sure, because that was asked to be a monthly.
Would you mind emailing me just when you get a chance, and then I'll
Thought
follow
I
up with
had,
you.
so thank you.
Well, I didn't remember getting an email from you, but if you did, my apologies. All right. Office of the Attorney, Mr. Lake.
I apologize, Mr. Chairman. The young lady who's introducing the candidate, who is that? What's her job title?
Did she leave the room? She's right here. Yeah, I think.
She's still here.
Nobody ever tells me anything.
She introduced herself a moment ago, but maybe the job title wasn't.
I'm the Director of Government Relations.
Since when?
Since March 11th. So
All right.
3 weeks on the job.
Welcome aboard.
Thanks very much.
What was your name again?
Courtney Ruark Thompson.
Could you send us all your email address when you get that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other-
Courtney, you might tell Mr. Lay a little bit about your background.
Sure. I grew up in Oklahoma, and I went to the University of Oklahoma, and spent some time working here, and then I moved to Washington, D.C., which is where I've been for the last 4 years. And I spent some time on Capitol Hill working for Congresswoman McCollum, who represents St. Paul, Minnesota, and she's now one of the Native American Caucus co-chairs in the House with Congressman Cole. And now I'm here, back home. Thank you.
Thank you.
She lives in California. She wasn't originally from California.
She's from
Oh, no, I would like for her to be my cousin, but I don't believe she's kin to me.
The minutes will reflect she's from Bonita. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I have my hand raised.
Do you have more questions?
I needed context. Did you replace someone, or who was in that role prior to you?
It's my understanding the role was vacant.
It was a role that Mr. Gray shared as Director of Communications and Director of Government Relations.
Okay.
So,
Very
that was
helpful.
yeah.
Thank you. All right, now I understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any questions for Mr. Attorney General or Mr. Attorney General? If there's anything you have to share with us that is not in your report, please do. Counselor Cameron has a question, I believe.
I'll entertain questions.
And I apologize, I would have asked some of these offline, but we just got the report. So on this, there's been some questions from constituents. So I posted the page that was on the website for AG. Will that be a separate website, or is that going to be just a page on the Cherokee.org? That was one of the questions they asked. I didn't know how to answer that.
As we previously reported, that is a separate page, is my understanding. You lost me at website as to my technical prowess, but it is not where you just go to Cherokee.org and hit the AG site and it takes you. Although you may do that, but it's a standalone site. Is what I've been told.
You will have your own URL name.
Whatever that means, I don't know.
When you type in the web address, will it be not Cherokee.org/AG or something?
I want it to be. But I think so. And I'm not trying to, seriously, I'm not trying to, I
Do you
really
have
don't
an
know.
ETA? Because they're excited about your page on Cherokee.org.
I talked to Christina this morning. She said it should be completely up and running. We've submitted all our bios and our pictures and the links to the public documents.
Maybe by next week?
She said next week.
Okay.
So hopefully, not
And you're going to do a news release or such?
Yes, and we'll put it on the website.
On codification, what's our ETA?
We-
There's no date on the report.
We are in probably contact with them once every other week. They are constantly updating, and they will be sending us sections to prove. So hopefully, all I can tell you is that we have contracted West, we are paying the money, and they are doing the work. And hopefully it will be done very soon. What I'm passing around here is a statement of when we were, there was a series of Cherokee Nation officials who attended NCAI and other meetings. That is just a brief report of the other meetings that we've had, along with the agenda of NCAI. Also, what is being circulated is the legislative update from our lobbyist in Oklahoma City, Ted Free. I'm not trying to beat Diane Kelly on the amount of handouts I give you. It's just something that's...
So on codification, can you maybe by next month have an estimated date from Westlaw?
I will have Christina appear here with a more detailed statement as to the status of codification. Let me just make a couple of statements. I know we're reaching time, but there's a couple major things that have occurred on the legal field. First and foremost is that the Judge Kern in the Northern District Friedman case has denied the Friedman's motion for stay and transfer. What that means is that the door now is fully open for the litigation to go forward. And we have filed motions to dismiss on what I call the Friedman ancillary claims. We believe we'll get a ruling on that soon. But most importantly, we have all the parties at the same table in the Northern District, and we have a judge that has denied their motion to stay. So we are going to go full steam ahead on Northern District. Also, as to the District of Columbia District Court case, we have just 2 days ago been assigned a judge in that case. The judge is Thomas Hogan. He is a 1984 Reagan appointee. So he will be handling the Freedman litigation on the District Court, or the District of Columbia District Court in. We expect to have a status conference in the very near future on that. As to the UKB issues, we have had our hearing on the completion of the administrative record. Our opening brief is set for May 8th of this year. As to the 76-acre tract, we are still waiting an IDIA decision. Also of major import to the Cherokee Nation is that on April 16th of 2013, oral arguments will commence in the adoptive parent, i.e. baby Veronica case, to which all of you are all aware, which is going to be a precedent-setting case involving Indian child welfare. In that regard, I must announce my disappointment in the Oklahoma Attorney General Scott Pruitt. The state of Arizona had submitted an amicus curiae brief in favor of our position in the adoptive parents case. 20 states joined that brief, that amicus brief. Oklahoma did not. And I find it disappointing that the state with the most, that has the most federally recognized tribes, probably more Indian child welfare cases than any state in the union, a case in which our briefs not only fall in step with Oklahoma Indian Child Welfare Acts, actually promote it. Given all those factors, the state of Oklahoma Attorney General still did not join that brief. He had until noon today. We got an email at 11:50. But be that as it may, the other states that we are very pleased that 20 other states have joined in that amicus brief. There has been a total of, well, at the last count, well over 20 amicus briefs on our side alone in this case. We are looking forward to the arguments, and we're looking forward to hopefully a decision from the Supreme Court that upholds ICW.
You, Ms. Trini, you still have the floor, Council Campbell.
Thank you, and our prayers are with all of you as you go forward on behalf of the nation and the kids. There was other questions I had. First of all, on your report, it needs to be corrected because Clint Bowers no longer works for the tribe. It's Clint Hastings that was on the DC trip.
Oh, well, my bad.
And then also, I'd asked for a report on the case that impacted CMB and sovereignty, and I didn't see it on the written update we received today when we sat down.
Again, in my attempt to overtake Diane Kelly, I'll give
Well, she's here to give her a hard time. Very good. You know that she's immediately called for more copies from her staff.
She's tweeting right now saying, I need this. Here is, here's a written report, and it's being circulated right now. This case actually was a victory for the Cherokee Nation businesses. The 10th Circuit did uphold the dismissal of the case. What was troubling was a portion of what we would call dicta, stating that if the underlying individual would have raised the issue of sovereign immunity, they would have entertained that. Now, the basis of of how sovereign immunity could be pierced in this instance is that this corporation was organized under the state LLC, State of Oklahoma LLC. So therefore, the court reasoned that that was a voluntary act by the tribe, saying that if you choose to organize a company under state law, well, you have availed yourself to sue or be sued clauses of that law. We have a very, very, very few amount of state LLCs. CMB is in the process right now of unwinding those and changing those over to tribal LLCs, so we won't have to face this issue. And I will tell you that any new tribal corporations are organized under tribal law. And that's...
Thank you. I had sent a request on the release of personal information involving the photo ID form on March 17th, but I have not received a response.
Okay,
It was to you and Registrar O'Leary. I'll resend the email, but...
Okay, please do.
And I had another question. There was a recent press release that was about the Cherokee Nation registration employee auditing CDIB cards.
Okay.
And it came out that they were doing specifically genealogy research on freedmen applications. So is that part of the lawsuit that we're going to do genealogy work for that, those individuals, but not all Cherokees? Or help me understand, because I
will tell you that I don't direct any individuals' activities over in the Registrar's Department. They will contact me if or when they find a problem. But there's nothing that would be in conjecture with the freedmen lawsuits that they're doing.
There's no requirement that we have to do that.
That's my understanding. Yes.
Well, I'm concerned that we're treating some folks differently than we are other Cherokee citizens, and we're providing a service to one group, but we're not providing a service to other, because we get contacted daily about genealogy work, and I can't afford to pay for it and those things.
Well, are you talking about vis-a-vis the freedmen, or?
Well, in this article, the way I read it, it says that we have dedicated a contracted employee to do their genealogy work.
To the freedmen?
Just for the freedmen.
Okay. I'm not aware of the press, but I can look into it, see.
And then the
what
other
the issue is.
issue was, regardless of who it is, if we have an internal employee doing genealogy for folks, and that same person is supposed to audit, or how is that a checks and balance on whether that work is credible in order to get citizenship?
Well, as to, and I'll look into what the duties and responsibilities of the contract is, but I mean, it is not uncommon for any tribal entity to do audits of their registration department, and if that may be what's going on, is an internal audit. I will find out.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Garvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Todd, in the February meeting, you mentioned this tag situation is moving along. I get lots of calls, and I want to know what's going to happen.
I'm meeting with...
I stalled on that subject.
I will
people working.
Keep stalling.
It's right around the corner.
It is.
So, kind of reassure me.
Yeah, let me reassure you that I have a meeting with the governor's attorney, Mr. Mullen, next week. Would have met with him this week, but both of us were out of the office. So I hope to, yes, we will meet next week, hopefully because they have our response. Okay, we got theirs, we didn't like it, we sent our response, they won't like it.
Ball's in their court.
Ball's in their court, and we're going to meet with them in Oklahoma City next week.
And the deadline will be the end of the session.
Is it the last? When does session end? I don't really know. End of May. Last Friday in May?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor. Madam Speaker. Yeah, I've got Mr. England down. Thank you, Councilor. Madam Speaker.
Yes, this is just to make everyone on the body aware. I have had a request to consider moving the meetings to April 22nd so that several of our council members can go and attend the baby Veronica case. Shelley will be polling, as per our rules, this body in the next just a little bit so we can announce at the next meeting whether there are a majority that are willing to move that meeting. We do have several representatives from our body, though, that this is an extremely important case, and we have several from our body that this is something that they are very sensitive to and will be attending that, and it's really impossible to attend it and to attend our April 15th meetings also. It's just physically, you're going to have to take a plane out on the 15th. So she will be polling you to achieve whether there is a majority of the body that is willing to move those meetings to the 22nd.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Councilor Ford.
Yes, Tom. It's been a couple of months ago, I asked you about the WD Mail hydroelectric power plant.
Yes.
And I never received any answers from
Well, and I
the Washington firm.
Let me apologize and let me give you an update. Okay. Through our work,
If you could just do that off.
Okay, I'll get with you. But there has been good, significant action in Congress to move that along, and I will. Yeah. Thanks to our good folks at Cornerstone, they've done some really good work on that.
If they could send me something.
I will. Most certainly.
Great.
Good, significant action out
Or
of this
send us
Congress.
something then. Janelle.
Yes.
I don't believe it.
Janelle and I, put Janelle and I and Don on that if you would.
I will.
Saying out of Cherokee Nation.
All right, Councilor Ingram.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Todd, do you know anything about, did the coal nation, did they sign a compact on tobacco with the state?
They did.
And was it the most favorable?
No. And we will not be signing anything close to what the Call Nation says sign. And I hope I have not offended any of my call relatives in that statement.
Councilor Fishinghawk, did you have a question?
I need to talk to you guys for committee about me, wonder who's called truck call and want to meet with.
Will do.
All right, no further questions for the Attorney General. Thank you, sir.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Anyone here from the Election Commission? Okay. I think they're pretty busy these days. Ms. Swepston, anyone here from the Tax Commission? And we'll just take, we have your report, so if anyone has any questions, Mr. Ingram.
Yes, I have just one question. I'm getting a lot of complaints on the Collinsville because of the shortage of employees and nobody, just one lady being there, I had to go over there a while. Are we working toward correcting that?
Yes, we have, let's see, I believe we have a panel coming in. We've had some interviews, but just not been able to find anything. So there's another person or another panel coming in. But Sharon said that if you have any questions, and she's on travel this week. So.
As long as she has another panel coming in.
Oh, that's good.
That's good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further questions for the Tax Commission? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Hanvey, we have your self-governance report. I think Ms. Hanvey's here. She was? Okay. We'll, let's proceed. Does anyone have any questions? Is she handy?
She's got it.
Ms. Hanvey, we have your report, so we're just going to limit it to any questions that anyone might have for your report. Any questions, Ms. Hanvey?
I apologize, I was watching online in there, and I guess it's delayed a little bit, so. I do have some information that was requested by the council. And I'll entertain any questions you may have, but I have an update with some correspondence on contract support costs and a letter from Don Young. So now we've got the chairman from the Senate and also the House supporting us on contract support costs and requesting a resolution to the settlement and all the issues we're having with contract support costs. And I'll just send these around. Also within the packet, I was requested some information on the land consolidation fund that's part of the Cobell settlement. I've provided some information for you on that as well. I also emailed this to the staff, but I just did that earlier today, so these are copies.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Hanvey? All right, thank you. I see Mr. Hummingbird has risen. Gaming Commission. Any questions for Mr. Hummingbird? Do we have his report, Mr. Keener?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hi, Jack. How are you? Good, thanks. got a FOIA report, and I was a little bit unclear on what I received. It seemed like it was incomplete, maybe, and you familiar with what I'm okay. Can you explain that to me? Or was it complete? Or was part of it taken out?
As far as the information that was contained in the report, the data that we were able to collect and to put into that report would met the request. I'm not sure if there are particular instances outside of that. Without being able to go over the questions more specifically, I'm not sure if I can answer very well.
Okay, well, I'll turn to another FOIA request.
Yes,
So,
and I'm in the process of working on that as well.
okay, so I guess offline would you discuss it so that I will get what I think I'm asking for and what you understand what I'm asking for?
That would be fine with me. In fact, that's one of the things that I might be requesting some additional clarification on because some of the wording, depending on how the request is worded, dictates to us how we respond, what information we provide. So clarity would be good for us.
Yes. And what you sent me was, to the best of your knowledge, everything that, what you sent was ultimately what I received.
Great. Everything that we've been able to pull from our system and our reports is contained within that.
Okay. And then on the manuals, I understand you say those would be written down, recorded, but in some cases they were not. So what's the discrepancy?
Yeah, in some of the manual comps that were out there, and that's one of the things that we have found recently, is that there's a inconsistency in the way that some of the staff at the casinos use and treat and record manual comps versus administrative expenses. So we're finding that there's probably some room for improvement in how that process is actually utilized.
Is that something the National Gaming Commission looks at, or they never see that?
Yeah, the NIGC typically would not look at those instances, just like us, there is a requirement to have a process in place. The actual step-by-step procedure that is used is not necessarily dictated by either the NIGC or us, so long as there is a process in place and that we can go back and check.
All right. So we'll talk more on this.
I'd be glad to.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Fulbright.
Thank you. Jamie, I've got several questions I hope you can answer.
I'll do my best.
All right. It's about drug testing and your policy, and I understand the government side policy, and everybody on here knows that I'm against random drug testing. I've voted that way several times. I think we need drug testing for cause, but on the government side, if the drug test comes back, although I might bring out, I think we spend close to $100,000 a year and less than 1% of people come back positive, but we give them a chance for rehab, counseling. We don't automatically fire them. But over on the gaming commission side, all the C&E employees that work in the casinos, I know the way I understand it, they're automatically terminated. Okay, is that something that our gaming commission, are we more strict than what the federal policy says? Is that something we came up with? I was on the gaming commission for many years, but that was several years ago. So can you kind of update us on what you do with all the C&E employees in the casinos? What happens? And we all have our own debates about who is randomly picked and how they are picked. And I was just visiting with someone earlier today about certain doctors and dentists and people over and over and over feel like they're kind of being harassed the way they're picked on. And I don't really, you may think it's totally random, but I don't think it is, and it can be used in several different ways. Give us an update on how you handle it. What the rules and regulations are.
Initially, any applicant for employment or gaming license is given a drug test prior to being hired. So if they pass that test, then they are proceeding with the actual hiring and licensing aspect.
Now, is that a requirement of us or a requirement of the federal government?
That is a CNE initiated requirement. Our regulation does support that as well because I believe we initiated that back in 2004, 2005 timeframe. So at that onset, that was something that CNE had determined of itself that they needed to do, and we supported that. After a person gets hired on, that person is subject to quarterly random drug screening if they are being selected using a method that is determined by the operation. They use a random number generator to pull information off of their system to identify the persons that are going to be subject to the random test. That test is then given through an oral swab. It used to be a urine specimen. Several years ago, they changed it to an oral swab. After that result comes back, if that person is tested positive for any of the 10 drugs that have been identified as being pertinent for CNE's test, then that person is given an opportunity to address the medical review officer to explain any items that may have been found. Any items that cannot be explained away are then reported as a confirmed positive test. Once that information reaches CNE, it is also supplied to us. CNE immediately suspends that person pending a termination hearing because the policy that CNE has is a zero tolerance policy for any illegal drugs or substance abuse. That information then is shared to us because, as I mentioned earlier, our regulation supports theirs and in some cases mirrors their requirements. That person is provided their due process through the pre-termination hearing from CNE. We offer them a hearing in front of our commission as well to provide their side of the story. After that information is taken, the bodies make a determination as to whether or not that person is going to be subject to, in our case, a licensing action. If the commission does take action on that person's license, they are their license is either denied or revoked depending on where they stand in the licensing process. After that decision is made, they will have a period of 18 months in which they could not reapply. We don't bar them from reapplying ever. It's just 18 months from the date that they are found to be non-suitable for that gaming license. So after that 18 months, a person can come back and reapply. We've had that happen where somebody has been had their license denied or revoked for substance abuse. They've come back, they've passed the drug test, and have been able to get their license back. Hasn't been very many, but it has happened.
Well, I'm all for drug testing for cause. And anybody that has been a school teacher for 30 years, you can spot people. A man came to our house a couple of weeks ago. I went out there. I didn't say a word. I listened to that conversation with my husband. My husband come back in and says, that guy was tweaking out. I said, I know. And a week later, the sheriff arrested him across the road over there, trying to steal a motor out of somebody's motor home that was trespassing. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to pick somebody out when you think there is a cause there, do it. But how many people, what percentage come back positive on that side of it? I know what it is on the government
side. For the random side, to be honest with you, I could not give you a good number. I would not really want to guess at it. I can find out for you. We have that information. We maintain all the files on that, so we could come up with a number.
Well, the way go ahead.
As I said, but one of the things that we look at, it's not necessarily for, sometimes it is for a particular job that they may be serving in, whether it's going to be in facilities or in food service or anywhere else like that where drug use could lead to injuries or of themselves or others. But it also calls that person's character into question. If they are using illicit drugs or if they're abusing prescription drugs, they have to get it from somewhere. Could that element be brought into the casinos? Could they be suspect of
that element's
taking
already
money?
at the casinos.
Yeah, could they be taking money from the casinos to pay for their drug habit? Those types of things are are considered along with the actual drug test results itself.
I can see the good side of it, and I can see the bad side of it. On the government side, and also the casino side, it leads to a large number of very disgruntled and angry employees, especially on the government side, when they come in from Claremore, Salsa. They drop what they're doing on a moment's notice, come up here, and they don't like the way it's handled at all. And they're angry and upset about it. And then people, I get calls all the time from the casino employees that say, I've been random drug tested so many times, and my boss picks me because they know I'm clean. And John Doe over here, you know, he would surely fail it, but they're not going to pick him because it's supposed to be random. And even on our government side from HR, it's supposed to be random, but ask the folks that get tested all the time, and they'll tell you it's not random. And I just want to clear the air on where I stand. You know, I've had people from different churches call angry, upset. How did you vote against drug testing? And on and on and on. I said, I'll explain to you my position, and I'm not backing down on it. And I think if there's cause, we need to do it. And if there's no cause, we'll leave people alone and let them do their job. That's all I have to say, and thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Burke.
Yes, Jamie, at the RES conference, the hot topic there again is seemed like more discussion than ever on internet gaming, on how it might affect the tribes. And there's supposed to have been a panel there at NIGA, and I think you might have been on that panel. Alicia, I know you got information on what came out of there. Because when I talked to Ernie Stevens, he said it was going to be how that panel really made some recommendations back to the tribes.
Yeah. I was not able to go to NIGA this year. However, I did have the opportunity to speak with Chairman Stevens at the National Tribal Gaming Commissioners Conference the week before. And in that, what we recommended and what NIGA has agreed to is to approach this issue jointly so that we can have a discussion amongst a wide range of people within the tribal government settings that can tackle this issue, because it's big.
It is.
The regulators, the policymakers such as this council and the administration and others need to come together and figure out exactly what this issue means for us, potentially, whether it's good or bad, whether some tribes support it, some tribes oppose it. I think it's important for everybody to understand that this is something that will happen. It's just a matter of when and how. We see a lot of states out there right now taking that initiative upon themselves to pass something within their jurisdiction. The most recent, we've seen New Jersey's been in the headlines more recently than others. But Nevada, Delaware, Iowa, California, Illinois, Washington, almost every state has taken some look at internet gaming. Right now, I don't know of anything happening at the Oklahoma level. However, if we see more and more states move that direction and adopt internet gaming regulations, it probably won't be long before we do. We have joined a task force together, NTGCR, my organization that I'm chair of, as well as NIGA, to hold meetings over the next several months that we will be coordinating and getting information out to all the tribal governmental bodies so that hopefully the participation can be such that this message reaches a very wide audience, because it is something that has the potential to impact us either positively or negatively depending on how this actually turns out. There's a lot of variables that need to be considered, and everybody needs to know what they are.
Appreciate you in the know of all of that. That's I've never been around so many investors. They're at the rest soliciting and proposing to tribal leaders to be the first to jump out there and do this. And they were very aggressive this time. Usually it's just throwing out information. These were actual, sign here and you'll be the first tribe. I mean, they were very aggressive this time.
There are a lot of European companies that are very interested in coming over. There are a few American-based companies that are looking to partner with tribes. And it is becoming more and more of a hot topic. I mean, it's a hot topic anyway, but it's becoming more so since there's rumor that there may be a possibility of a federal bill coming up, not necessarily this term, but in the fall.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, with the number of states moving that direction, it's becoming more and more of a likelihood, just because of what scale.
Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate it. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Fitchington, did you have your hand raised earlier? Good enough.
I answered the question before it was even asked.
Yeah, you did.
You're not there.
I remember what it was.
Thank you, Mr. Hummingbird. Registrar Citizenship Data Update. Mr. Justice is here. Do we have any questions for Mr. Justice?
Just a couple of quick numbers on the registration updates for this month. There have been 20 deceased notices and 397 address changes.
Council comments?
How many bad addresses do we continue to have?
I do not get that number from registration, but I will ask for it.
And then could you email it to us, please?
Yes.
And I've sent you several requests for information. Do you know where those are at?
I will check on them.
Okay, because they're past due, so Mr. Morgan has, since the AG's out, I assume they're caught in the filter over there in that office. Request I've made for information, could you follow up with that, because they're past due? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Justice. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Justice. All right, we now move on to old business. And Mr. Keener, the Cherokee Phoenix discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe Mr. Pollard is here to make his report to us. I thank him for being here today and waiting.
Last time I was here, I reported that I was in the process of setting up a regular routine for acquiring travel reports from the council and from the administration. Since my last report, that process has been established. I'll be working with Gail to get the reports from the council, and I'll be working with Courtney to get the reports from the administration. And we published the first quarter travel reports on March 20th, and we'll be doing that on a quarterly basis for the foreseeable future.
Thank you. Councilor Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have not had a chance to go back through and even audit my own travel to make sure it's correct, because it took so long to get the year or two in place. So I caught that on my cursory look at the article that was just a quarter, but we're behind like a year and a half, 2 years. So are we going to do all of them that we're behind too?
We can do that.
Because
Yeah, I can do a FOIA request for those specific records and go back, kind of backdate them.
Yeah, because we're going to have, I would say we have to under the transparency laws that are in place. So I was a little bit took back when it was just one quarter when we were already like 2 years behind. So.
Yeah, I can do a request for the records going back several years, and we can just kind of publish them all at once.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Madam Speaker.
Yes, first of all, I thought you did a very good job on putting that on the web. And I would just request, if we're gonna go back and pick up travel, why don't we go back, let's say, 7 years, and just publish it all?
7 years?
One good swoop.
Okay.
Okay?
7 years.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Councilor.
So, I mean, I think it deserves its own webpage, or at least page on the Phoenix website. It's a requirement. I thought we had been doing this only in the last couple of years that it's stalled. So, I mean, I'm sure you already have a lot of that information.
Yeah.
Getting there.
We can figure something out. Do a dedicated link or something like that, or maybe
There's
a
a lot
tab.
of interest in it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Mr. Keener, you have another question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Pollard, did you have a report on subscription renewals or?
I hadn't prepared anything, but we're right at about 3,000 subscriptions right now. And we're hoping to send out another letter soliciting subscriptions here in the next few weeks. And once we do that, we expect to get kind of another surge of response. So we're going to just keep sending out those letters and keep driving those numbers up. But we are on course to meet our goal of 6,000 by the end of the fiscal year.
You can send a subscription form with that letter.
Yeah.
That helps.
Yeah, we just neglected to do it the first time, but we're definitely going to do it this time.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor. Madam Speaker?
Yes, and I do want to alert the body to the fact that Mr. Pollard, while on schedule, we have talked, and you are in need of a small amount of money to make it to the end of the year, and you all will see that in the budget mod in the next meeting. And this is, and I would encourage us to vote for it because he has done everything he can to meet his business plan, and I'm very proud of the fact that he's almost there.
We're just chugging along. We're going to get there.
It just needs probably a one-time helper right now, and probably next year it'll be a different scenario.
I'm hoping that next year we'll be on good footing.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. All right. Thank you, Ms. Pollard. We're now to old business item number 2, Council Fishing Hawk.
That's not really what I'd like to hold it for a while.
You want to table, we have a motion to table, do we have a second?
Second.
If there's a second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Table another month. We now drop down, I think we're at new business 6. Okay, Madam Speaker, what's the status of new business 6?
Yes, I believe on number 6 is our government relations lady. Was that going to be full for this month? But she was not able to come, as I recall. Okay, so I would make a motion that we table that for 1 month.
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. It's tabled for a month. Item number 7, Madam Speaker, would you take it?
Yes, that is a resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation to become a member of the National Congress of American Indians and to appoint tribal delegates and alternates. This is a yearly thing that we ask for. We are one of the larger tribes that is involved with the National Congress, and I will put that in form of a motion.
Okay. Chief Byrd, second. Any discussion? Councilor Cadwallad's?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is the administration doing anything to work on the fraudulent Cherokee groups that are recognized as members of NCAI?
That's a question, Mr. Attorney General.
Well,
I know Mr. Van's very concerned about it too.
Well, NCAI has their own criteria for membership, okay? And they allow non-federally recognized tribes or state-recognized tribes to be members. There was an attempt to change that in the Constitution, and it was voted down. We are cognizant of individuals that attempt to defraud individuals into membership into an organization, but I would think it'd be reckless just to put all of these organizations in a definition that they're all fraudulent. But be that as it may, we understand it's the position of the Cherokee Nation that federally recognized tribes should have voting members' rights in the National Congress of American Indians. The Constitution of NCAI sees otherwise, so therefore they are allowed to vote. And we are always vigilant as to de facto fraudulent groups, but I would not cast all of those individual or all of those organizations as fraudulent.
I'm talking about the fake Cherokee groups they recognize as members with the same voting rights as us.
I know, and I stand by the same statement that I just said. They're not everybody is fraudulent. Not just because they're not they're federally recognized. Many tribes have gone through the process of getting federally recognized. And before they were federally recognized, they were state recognized, or they were just organizations. That didn't necessarily make them fraudulent. And also, these are organizations that are going through the process. I really don't have much to say in that regard. Is that if someday that they get federally recognized, more power to them. But I'm not going to sit here and call them fraudulent just just because they're not, quote, federally recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor. Madam Speaker.
I think the question is, do we want to continue to be a member of this organization? We would be providing half the fee. The executive branch would be providing half the fee. One of the reasons I would advocate that we want to be a part of this organization is so that we can address and have a voice in the issues that have just been brought up. But if we don't pay this fee, then we'll have no voice in bringing up our opinion on the issue that was just brought forth and other issues that are important to us and important to Indian country. And again, I would encourage you to vote for this resolution.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Any further discussion on the resolution?
All for the question.
All for questions. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. It passes. Let's see. We're now at item number 8. I believe number 8 is being withdrawn. Madam Speaker, refresh my memory of number 8 being withdrawn. Ms. O'Jones.
Let me look at number 8 just for a second. Yes, I would make a motion to withdraw number 8.
Okay, it's just withdrawn, it's not a vote.
Yes, but that's would just be withdrawn.
Let's move on to item number 9. Madam Speaker, would you just introduce that on my behalf and then represent from the Attorney General's office?
Yes, there was a discussion on the wind farms in our last meeting, and this is a resolution as a result of that discussion. It would authorize the limited waiver of sovereign immunity of the Cherokee Nation in connection with the wind energy evaluation leases and wind resource leases to Cherokee Wind Farm LLC. I'm not, yes, we have someone here from the AG's office that will give us more information.
Yes, as we discussed at the last meeting, P&E, the group that owns the Cherokee Wind Farm LLC, which is the group that we would be leasing the property to, they would request a waiver of sovereign immunity within that lease. It is for access only. It's very limited. There will not be any money damages included. So it would only allow them, if we were to try to deny them access and we were to breach, that it would allow them to get that remedy only. It is essential for them, if they're going to put all of their equipment on our property, to have some ability to access property, so they would request the waiver. So I'll leave it for questions at that.
You still have.
Yes. Now, as I understand it, this is just so they can physically, if we breach,
Yes.
if the fault is on our back, then they could physically go on and retrieve their turbines and their wind implements. Is that correct?
Yes.
This involves no money.
Correct.
Okay. And I failed to put that in the form of a motion for discussion purposes.
Okay.
Guess we need a second.
Motion second, Councilor Harts. Anything further, Madam Speaker?
That's all. Thank you.
Councilor Lay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do we have a contract that we can look at before signing?
They're not finalized. Because they're not finalized, making them.
So we're voting for a blank check, that's what I'm looking at.
We're voting for the ability to negotiate the leases at this point, to finish up the leases.
I've leased lots of property, and I've had in that contract that I had ingress and egress to go get my cattle. And I don't know that we have to waive sovereignty for them to go get their turbines if the deal goes bad.
We do, because we could lock them off the property, and they would have no ability to go into court
You
and try.
can't put that in a contract of lease?
Yes,
That's
they
what-
put in the ability to get on the
Sure,
property.
you can put that in a contract of lease.
Right.
We're not giving them the property, we're not selling them the
Right.
property.
Right.
We're leasing the rights to put up their wind turbines.
Right. Right.
So
But
we don't have a contract that I could look at?
we do,
before
I mean,
make
we are
this vote?
working to negotiate these contracts at this point. We've got the leases.
I'd have to see that contract before I can vote for this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Let's see, we had Counselor Keener.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, you say you're negotiating the leases, but then this resolution says, whereas the principal chief have negotiated arrangements.
Yes, we're negotiating.
But to me, that means past tense, but I guess
They're
that's
not finished,
semantics.
no, they're not.
Right, but it appears as if they're already made the arrangements, these arrangements. So I too could not vote on this until we saw that. But also on the second page, on the third paragraph, if a suit is filed, it goes to the United States District Court, Northern District of Oklahoma. So is that because it's a non-Cherokee entity?
That was as closest they would get to us. I mean, outside of they're from Illinois, Chicago, and they don't know our system. Now, the arbitration is limited to our law. So they did agree to that because I sent them the actual arbitration act, and so they can understand that. As far as the court goes, they don't understand it enough to be willing to.
Okay, and it is a major infrastructure project. We all agree on that. And let's see, I was trying to read about the necessary funding on that would be for to obtain the debt and equity funding. So I don't see how we can vote on this until we do have some kind of a lease agreement. In my mind, that only makes sense. Once we get that, then we can bring it back. But that's, I couldn't support it today. Thanks. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. Let's see, Counselor Kamalansky.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Does this involve Cimarron in any way?
They are not leasing it. They are an outside contractor that has evaluated the project, but they are not involved.
Could you provide us with a copy of that contract and such, and an agreement?
That should be fine, yes,
On the government side. So this is only with respect to P&E then? And so I'm curious too why we're not looking at a final contract. And to me, it seems very broad. Not being an attorney, when I read it, it was kind of alarming language. It looked a little bit different than what I recall on our waivers of sovereign immunity before. So I was a little bit concerned about it. Not a little bit, but greatly concerned actually. So I definitely understand that they should have the right to come in and get their equipment. They're making a huge investment. They're being a great partner from what I can determine. I want to support the project as it had been maybe in the past moving forward. So, but I have concerns about this. I don't know that I can support it today. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Thornton.
Just answer a couple of questions. Is all this land trust land?
No, there will be
There's some tax land?
4 different leases, actually. There will be the evaluation leases for fee land and for trust land, and then eventually there will be the resource leases for fee land and trust land, so there'll be both.
Counselor Fishingham.
I was concerned about number 3, the same as Lee Keener. Why the United States District Court for the Northern District? Can you go with that again? Why not ours?
They were adamant about the Northern District. They were adamant about the Northern District and not going into our court. If you change that resolution, we go back to them and tell them this is what the tribal council will allow. And that's, they know that it's up to you what you will allow. That is what we negotiated today. That's
I
what
want
we
this change. I'll make a motion.
I second that.
And I think I made the motion on
You accepted it, my friend, whoever seconded, you second? Yeah, he's accepted the friendly, did he second the original? Okay, very good. So we'll, Frankie, do you accept? Okay. So we will strike in the third, be it therefore resolved, paragraph, U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Oklahoma, and replace it with the District Court of the Cherokee Nation.
We probably also need to strike it in maybe the 6th resolve. I think it's in there too.
Oh, so the sixth.
The 3rd and the 6th.
Am I missing something, Madam Speaker? We're on number 9, right? Is there not a 6th one? Maybe on number 8.
No. I'm on I'm on number 9, and you want to strike it in the third,
Right.
be it further resolved in the third line. Okay, and then if you go over to the
She's
next
talking
page.
the sixth bit for the.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Be
I thought you meant paragraph number 6.
Oh,
I apologize.
I'm sorry.
That's
Be
okay.
it further resolved, and that would be the 6th, be it further resolved. I think it mentions it again.
Very good. All right, we'll get that language inserted for full council. All minds are clear on what it will be.
Now go over the rest of this, what all this entails, please. Can you start at the beginning and tell me what all this entails, please?
What all of it is? It is waiver of sovereign immunity just for them to access the land only. So we will lease the land, we're talking about the whole transaction, okay? We lease the land to them for the evaluation period. They have the right to evaluate the land for 3 years. Within that 3 years, originally it was a 3-year option to renew. We reduced that to just a 3-year. They have the option to sign a resource lease, which is when they actually put the turbines up. If they don't do it within that 3 years, it goes away. Their option goes away, and we do our money back. Once the resource lease is established, then they start putting up the turbines. During all of this time, if they do any damage to anybody's crops, our crops, lessees' crops, if they prevent us from being able to get lease payments because the lessees are unable to use their land, they have to pay us those damages. Once the turbines are up, we get payments. We get payments of payment during the evaluation period, but then once the turbines are up, we get a certain percentage at that time as well. And it's based on commercial operation. So at different stage of commercial operation, we get different payments. And so this what they're requiring the waiver for is that once they start evaluating and once they start putting the turbines on there, if we were to breach and to go out there and block them off the property in some way, prevent them from going out there, they can go into court and the court can require us to give them access. If we've breached it, the court can say, you must let them on the land. That's as much as the court can do. They can't charge us with damages for not doing it. They can't do anything other than require us to let them on the property. So it's very limiting in what we're allowing to happen.
During the 3 years during the evaluation, how do they pay us? How do you figure those?
It's $500 a year during that evaluation period. And the only thing that we're prevented from doing is evaluating the wind energy ourselves. Outside of that, all leases continue, all other leases. So we continue to have all of the agricultural leases and the mineral, and all the other gas, everything. And once the resource lease begins, if they don't start building within that 1 year, first year, on any part, if there's a section that they don't use, it reverts back to us. Or if they don't put anything on our land within that 1 year, it all reverts back and lease stops. So that 20-year period is not their ability to tie up our land for 20 years and not do anything with it. They actually have to begin building within that first year of the resource.
I'd like to ask the Attorney General if he sees anything wrong with this. Finding this.
Well, I mean, specifically, we heard the concerns of the council about waiver of sovereign immunity as to the investment. I know the $6 million figure, made everyone quite a bit shy, and understandably. So, retooling this is that we, put forward is that the only equitable recourse, or could be made through this waiver of sovereign immunity, saying that we cannot raise the issue of sovereign immunity for them to come in and say, let's say we totally breach, we lock them out. They come into, they come into access, we lock them out. They have to go to court to go back and get their equipment. This says we can't raise sovereign immunity and say, well, you can't sue us because we're sovereign. We'd have a limited waiver of sovereign immunity to say we can, go in and get the whatever equipment, materials, etc. One thing that and believe you me, no one knows and respects the veracity of our courts than me. But I also know when we have done waivers of sovereign immunity for lines of credit with Bank of America, with Bank of Oklahoma, with any number of instances, they always require federal, the banking or the lending institutions always require federal court because it's seen as a neutral venue. So banks may be very hesitant to go in and agree to fund any type of project where it goes to the tribal court, because I'll be honest, a lot of lending institutions, especially national lending institutions, they have a prejudice against tribal courts. They see those as a kangaroo type or not a fair battleground type of instances. That's not the Cherokee Nation, and I understand that. But I also understand the apprehension that national lenders may have on that, and because no one can question the ability of the veracity of the federal courts. I just want to point that out to the committee.
Anything further, Councilor Fishman?
No.
I have several more councilors on the list. Councilor Anglin is next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is this a time-sensitive issue?
Yes. Yes, it is, because there's an interconnect agreement that's in place right now, and that will be lost if we don't put the leases in place to where they can pay the money to then keep that going, because there's a certain amount of money that they have to pay for that interconnect standard. They thought originally it was December. It's actually September, but you have to back off on that because they have to get funding in place and get a lot of stuff in place to do this. A lot of the issues and part of finalizing documents is having the final waiver to be able to put into those documents and say, this is what we're willing to do. And that's part of what is holding up us finalizing the documents, is we don't have that final waiver language. So if we hold off, it doesn't really finalize the documents any quicker, because we still don't have the final issue, because they're not going to finalize the documents and agree to all of this without knowing what we're going to do.
I still have floor. I just hate to hurry through something like this, because I take my oath pretty serious about not waiving sovereign immunity. Without all these I's dotted and T's crossed, I'm just not ready to support this today with the Chicago Congress. That's all.
Councilor Fraley.
I just have a couple of questions, Mr. Chairman. We've done a complete environmental study on this project so that somebody can't come back and sue us for whatever reason.
That's part of the evaluation period, is this environmental study.
Okay.
So we're not making any representations within the leases that anything has been done up to date. That's part of the contracts that will be done once the leases are in place. They will start that process before they start doing it.
I'm like Mr. Councilman Lay, I'd sure like to see the agreement before I vote on it. I understand why they need it, but I'm just not comfortable just, like you said, doing it. And also, what is considered a default on our part?
It would be if we locked it out, if we in fact prevented it, yes. If we kept it from going to DIA, if we tried to stall the process, if we in any way stop the development.
Close this meeting and come back and ask for council.
I'm not so much afraid of this report, but I think we should at least have the tribal court first, and then if it doesn't work there, the district court, and if it doesn't work there, the court.
Anything further, Councilor Fraser? Councilor Lay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess, so this contract that we can't see, we're going to vote on that today. And you said something about they've got a 3-year evaluation period that all gets $500 a year.
During the evaluation period.
So this promise, this big carrot of $4 million that may not be but 3 years away.
Their intent is to do it a lot quicker than that. Their intent is
Well, I
within
can
this
tell
year.
you, I can tell you that too, and
Right,
make you believe it.
Right, right,
Okay?
right.
You understand my situation?
Right.
Slick Willie Salesman can tell you a lot of things, okay?
Yes. Yes.
And, okay, thank you.
I understand.
Any further questions?
I have a comment.
Go first. We had Mr. Keener and Mr. Bird. Mr. Keener, he's yielding to you. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. You said earlier that they were insistent upon P&E. So what else were they insistent upon, and why weren't we insistent upon?
We were, I mean,
Okay, I know we were.
I told them from the start they were going to have a very, very hard time getting waivers. So we started with, we've gone back. They wanted a full waiver of allowing fully, just allowing everything. You know, so we've gone back and forth on a lot of different things. We restricted the options so that we didn't have 6 years of this contract sitting out there for the evaluation period. We've done different things to try to restrict what they can do in the resource lease, that they have to start building within a year or it reverts back to us. They can't tie up our land for 20 years with nothing to show for it. We made sure that in the leases, no matter what, that as much as can be possible, we're not harmed. Right now, we're not using the land for wind resource development. So we're not prevented from doing anything that we would be doing anyway. We can continue to do what we're doing already, which is the agricultural leases. We're not harmed. We stay right here. We don't go down by doing this because we have the potential to go up with the wind evaluation. Once the wind evaluation is done, they get turned up. So we can only go higher. They have to pay us damages for anything that causes us to go lower because they damaged the land in some way or crops.
So the company with the Pakistani ties, they don't have anything to do with this yet.
Oh, you're talking about Cimarron.
Cimarron.
No, all they've done is evaluate the project. They are not the ones that will be leasing the land or will be involved in the development.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Byrd.
I would move that we table until we get that final agreement. for our review.
We have a motion and a second.
I've got one question.
Certainly.
Before that.
Sir.
If at the end of 3 years, they decide not to do it and go away, do we get any money?
Yeah, we get the lease money if they were.
The 500 a year? Thank you.
Ms. Fairley.
Question, Mr. Chairman. Along with what he was saying there, is the developer going to be required to put up in this agreement any type of a bond to ensure performance?
They do have their bonding within the resource lease, within the evaluation lease. I don't remember the bond, but there's insurance. There's $1 million on insurance for the evaluation lease, and during the resource, it's $10 million. There's bonding required.
Okay, thank you.
What I can say on the tabling is that if it's tabled and we lose that interconnect agreement, then the idea that it's going to be with both phases of the project, because last time we talked about leasing to Cherokee Wind Farm instead of Park, and that we get a bigger interest. If we lose that connection agreement and they have to start over, that goes away. So that's kind of the insistence. It's not that we hold off.
Mr. Chairman, still have the floor.
A motion table isn't debatable, Councilor. We're into that, but we've had a couple of folks. If you have one more thing to say, sir.
I know we're under a time frame here, but we don't have the information that we need. We don't have that agreement, and we should dictate to these people if they really want to do business with us. They need to follow what we're recommending here as a full council. And they will come around. I guarantee you. You just have to play hardball. We've done that really before.
And before we move to the votes table, I think the consensus of the body is this. If we pass at all a waiver of sovereign immunity, which is the only way that this deal gets done, otherwise we don't do anything. If we eventually get one, I think you can tell the other parties that it's going to be the District Court, Cherokee Nation, unless there's some change on this body of consensus. And I would expect that what we need to see is a draft that reflects that. Now, we know that since the administration's come to us with only one waiver, that the only waiver is going to be is access to land. We know that. But we need to see it in writing and see the other proposed terms. So with that, move for a vote. All those in favor of tabling say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
All right, it is taken 1 month. Okay. We want to have a Council Fishing.
Yeah, I'd like to amend the agenda, if at all possible, for the tribal council to discuss having the tribal council turn, weigh in on the lawsuit that deals with the 6-year terms and the 2-year term. Put that in the form of a motion.
To intervene in that lawsuit.
To weigh in.
Right.
I want to discuss it, and I put it in the form of a motion.
This is to amend the agenda for, is it discussion and possible action on, we'll call it intervention into the challenge involving, is it this?
6-year term and the term limit.
Very good. All right, so we have a motion, do we have a second? This is again to amend the agenda. Do we have a second? We have a second. Okay. We're going to take a vote on amending the agenda. Do you have a question of clarification?
Yeah, I don't understand how this wouldn't be a violation of the Constitution because it would be using tribal funds in an election process involving candidates at the table, so.
I think part of the discussion needs to embrace this idea that the statute's pretty clear. I think the statute's pretty clear about who's there, but our attorney will refresh our memory, and the attorney general will as well. But let's, for the sake of moving to discussion, that's the whole point of moving into discussion. So let's do a roll call on amending the agenda. Go ahead.
Blake?
Abstain.
Curtis Snell? David Thornton?
Yes.
David Walkenstick?
Yes.
Kara Calhoun?
No.
Bill England?
No.
Jack Baker?
No.
Joe Byrd?
Yes.
Julia Coates?
No.
Jody, yes.
No.
Jody Fishington?
Yes.
Meredith Fraley?
Chair, I think I have to abstain because I'm a candidate in this.
Janelle Fulbright?
Yes.
Don Garvin?
Abstain.
Frankie Hargis?
Abstain.
Chuck Hoskin Jr.?
I have to abstain for the same reason.
Hannah Glory Jordan?
Yes.
Lee Hunter?
No.
6 yes. 5 no. 6 abstentions.
That's sufficient, 2/3 to amend the agenda. All right, Councilor, motion to amend fails. Madam Speaker.
I would like to request of the chair that we schedule a special rules meeting for April 11th. And one agenda item that I will be proposing for that special rules meeting is a resolution to amend the election laws pertaining to public officials acting as watchers in the election.
If the meeting is the 11th,
And
we'll
ask
have
for it at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock on the 11th. When would be our post date?
Be Monday.
Do we have that issue?
First Monday.
So the post date is Monday for that special rules. I assume you're saying including but not limited to the issue that you raised.
Yes, there may be other resolutions that might be proposed by the body between now and the post date. And I would ask Shelley that we allow them, what would be the latest that you could post on Monday to meet the requirements to have a meeting on the 11th?
Monday the 1st.
If I post Monday at 5 o'clock, packets will not get mailed out till the next day, which isn't going to give you your 10 days to review.
Well,
So the longer we wait in the day, the less time.
There's a requirement for 10 days posting, but not that the packets have to be in their hand at least 10 days. I would ask that the body be given the opportunity to present any other resolutions that they might have by, say, 12 o'clock in a finished form on that day.
I'll call that special rules meeting.
April 11th at 1 o'clock would be my request.
Second.
I'll take that under advisement. So we don't need to take action on it, just sort of call. Any further announcements? Before we take that motion, I hate that they left, but Mr. Austin, who was here and was nominated, he had brought his daughter. His daughter got to witness her dad, and they're gone now, but if the minutes could reflect it, I can't think of her name, but his daughter was here with me. And Mr. Austin's daughter got to witness that. All right.
And I may warn the council, I also may be bringing a resolution regarding behavior during committee meetings. I'm shocked that we brought in someone's mother to any issue pertaining to this body.
I only asked this because Mr. Austin, did you have your daughter with you earlier? And we wanted to welcome her because we didn't realize she was here.
Back to class, she had been across town at the institute.
Okay, what was her name? We'll put that.
Alyssa.
Well, I'm glad she got to be here. Thank you, Mr. Austin. Ms. Fishing, I'll another announcement.
Once again, I apologize that the granddaughter had to hear anything said about her grandmother.
I appreciate your work very much.
If that was my mother,
She knows that her grandmother is, puts herself in the public and do that stuff.
I don't care, it's still a little child, and she's got a grandma.
Any further announcements? Council Byrd had a motion to adjourn. We have a second. We have a second. Council Washington. Before what are we coming? 5 minutes? 10 minutes? Okay, 5 minutes. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.